is Aretha doing?
Aretha's doing all right.
Just all right.
Singing is sacred, and you shouldn't do it just because somebody wants you to. What's most important is that you are treated with dignity and respect.
You're special, Ree. You have a talent they call genius.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me.
How old is she?
She's 10, but her voice is going on 30, honey.
Let your mind go, let yourself be free.
How many albums have you had?
4.
And no hits.
I need you to focus and avoid frivolous distractions.
Honey, find the songs that move you. Until you do that, you ain't going nowhere.
I need a change. I want to sing what I want to sing.
Okay.
Find out what it means to me.
You really like it?
We love it.
Riri.
It's really good.
I got a single by this new chick named Aretha Franklin. I'm on to present Aretha Franklin Day.
You're not about to mess this up for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Aretha Franklin.
This song goes out to anyone who's ever felt mistreated.
I used to feel sure.
You need to take a break.
I know how to run my business.
Have you lost your mind?
Maybe I found it.
I believe I have the chills.
Do you see what she is? She's a miracle.
Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today we have a real treat for you as we're talking to the stars of the upcoming film Respect, Jennifer Hudson and Marlon Wayans. We're going to kick things off today by introducing you to the members of AAFCA who are taking part in the call today, starting with our guest facilitator, Sharonda Williams in Atlanta, KB in Houston, JONITA Davis in Indiana, Brandon Collins in Dallas, and Dana Abercrombie in New York. I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well, and I will see you on the other side.
KB here with Through the Lens of Lady KB. So my first question actually is for Jennifer. So when preparing for this role, what was something that you didn't know about Miss Franklin's life that you found out that really inspired you, not only as an artist, but also as a woman that you will carry with you for the rest of your life?
Wow, God, it's so many things. I want to go far back. It's like the era in which she grew up in, you know, being a woman in a time like that, singing a song like Respect and demanding it, you know, that was bold to see the power that lied in her and the courage to be able to do that, which gave me even more respect for the song, even more than before, just hearing it. That's one of the things. And then also learning her relationship with like Dr. King, to think of all the legends and the icons that was in her life from birth, you know, being surrounded by that greatness. And then also I would say like seeing her lose her mom at such an early age, you know, things like that, which was relatable to myself as well, you know, that made it that much more realistic to me in portraying her. Yeah.
Well, I cannot wait for everyone to see this film. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Brandon Collins from the Media and Popcorn Podcast. My question is for Marlon. I've been a huge fan of your career for a long, long time. You recently mentioned on Kevin Hart's podcast that people haven't seen everything you can do. How do you think your performance in Respect represents your growth as an actor?
I think it's people aren't going to. I don't think are going to expect to see me in a role like this, and because the role is like leading man and villain at the same time, but the same, there's so many different layers to the character because he's insecure, and I didn't just do an abusive man. I did a hurt little boy. You know what I mean? I think that the interpretation of the material is always, what we do as actors is what's your interpretation when you give something to a role. And I think seeing me and I think also with Jennifer in this kind of movie and this kind of role and that kind of love story and how damaged it is, but yet beautiful. I think people are going to be surprised and they're going to feel some type of way about when they're together and when they break up.
They absolutely will be surprised. And I've been saying you're a talented actor for Requiem for a Dream when I first saw you. So keep up the good work, man.
You got vision, brother. Tell the rest of the world.
Hello, Dana Abercrombie from the Coalition. For both Marlon and Jennifer, this wonderful movie, by the way, I wanted to know as actors, how do you approach telling a story that's based on actual real people by both honoring what their message is, but also giving yourself over to that role?
Well, for me, there wasn't a lot for me to really gather about Ted White. He's about that much in her book, and then he's about a paragraph in the book, and then he's only got 30 seconds of him talking on the ABC News thing. And so from there was allowing myself, I had to put a lot of skin on the bones. I wish I had more to work with, but I learned his pentameter, and I seen his walk and seen his movements and things like that. But I think it was to really dive into the relationship between Aretha and Ted, and think about not just the damage, but the love that nurtured and he was a great chapter in her beautiful legacy. So I wanted to really dive in to the love. And I think because a lot of times we don't understand that there's love before abuse. Abuse, meet somebody, go, hey, pop, punch me in the eye. No, you fall in love, and then things happen, and you really show who you are. Damaged people. And so that's what I was able to, discover and explore.
Great answer. Wow, I don't even know how to come behind that.
Just say ditto.
Ditto to a certain extent, but I feel like it's, for me, in the middle of filming is when at times I felt like our worlds came together, as far as Aretha and mine, to be able to tell her story, or realizing like, wow, I can really relate to that, to draw from myself, or by knowing her to know, to want to care enough to really tell a story in an honest way. So I discovered a lot of those things even in the middle of filming. The Dr. King memorial scene. How could you not feel the emotion of that, feel the hurt of that in an honest, vulnerable way, to be able to portray it in that way, considering and thinking about one being Black, being her at a time like that, and still having to be a voice to uplift other people in those moments. A lot of times as a celebrity or artist that perform, people pull from you all the time, but they never know you're human and you may be going through something too. And for her to be in that moment, to be that close to that individual, and then what Dr. King represented in a time like that, you know what I mean? Jennifer couldn't help but to relate to it and feel it. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by like, at times it couldn't help but for our worlds to like collide in a way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm JONITA Davis from the Black Cape. My question is another preparation question as well. For Marlon, you come from comedy primarily, and you're so great at it. I wondered what mental preparation did you have to go through to kind of get into this very, very serious, very complex role? And for Jennifer, you had to not only do Aretha, as in acting, you had to do her in singing as well. So what kind of preparation did you have to go through to kind of prepare for that, getting her right, getting it right with her voice in the songs as well? So
I have ADD and really bad short-term memory. So when you ask her the question after me, I done forgot what you asked me.
It's about the comedy. It's you're so good at comedy.
Oh, okay, now okay. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It's just that I think for me as a comedian, right, I don't really deal with my emotions, because when the craziest thing in my life happens, no matter how tragic it may be, the first thought that comes to my mind is, all right, what's funny about this? And that's what I start to really explore. And then the pain of it, I take and open up this little safe in my heart and I throw it in there and I slam it shut. And I don't want to deal with those things. And that's what I do with comedy every week, no matter what happened. My mama died. I had to go tell jokes, and the pain I had to put in, throw it away, tell the jokes, make me feel better, because that's my life, finding a smile and putting smiles on other people's faces. You do a movie like this, and in this kind of role, there's no jokes. And you got to go open up that safe that you slammed all your emotions in, and you have to deal with those. And that's what, and then there'll be times when we was on set, and we was doing a scene, and Lisa would call cut, and I'm still crying. Like a half hour later, she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I haven't cried in years." And like, seriously, like I was going through a lot. So much happened during the making of this film that it was only God placing this in front of me for me to pull from, with silence and nowhere to go to tell jokes. And so I think that's what you see on the screen.
You better speak. I, like Marlon, didn't forget my question. I was so into his answer.
I know, it was a good answer. It was a really good answer.
Excellent.
For you, you had to embody her in song as well. And so what was that preparation like, in trying to, get Aretha and, in singing her as well? Singing her song.
Definitely, all of it. To be Aretha is a challenge. I still face it. Like, I still get up and do my homework, research, and all of that. Mostly because I'm a fan. I've always been a fan before and after and during, but with a newfound respect for Miss Franklin after this experience. Piano, learning piano, which I started. That was the very first thing I started, which I still do. Mm-hmm. This one has even helped me with it. And then as far as, man, she has so many layers to her. So it's like, where do you go first? Even answering this question. So like, as far as her as an actor or portraying that, what's her mannerisms? Like thinking, I'm a very outspoken person. I'm from a whole nother era than Miss Franklin, but going back into that time where she came from, what was it like? That's when I called Patti LaBelle, like, tell me, what was it like being a woman during that time, being an artist during that time? How outspoken were women in a time like that in comparison to how it is for myself? So being able to translate emotion without words, or not being allowed to take up space in a room. That was a process that, something that I work with the acting coach, Leland, and he would say, how does Aretha take up space? How does she exist in a room? How does she lead in a room? Whereas versus how do I lead in a room? I asked them that the other day. I'm like, yeah, how do I take up space? So finding a way to actually like,
you're a little greedy on the elbow room, but I'm
condense that part. And then vocally working with Tom Jones to know like our voices lend to similar things, but our instruments are built differently. So learning how to approach the song, using her nuances, how she would shape her mouth. Aretha sang from the top of her head. I said, well, Tom, where do I sing from? He like, well, Jennifer, you sing from your feet. Okay. What does that mean? Learning the difference and then seeing where our voices was, because it's a vocal art. I started in the film, it's her about 17, 18. I'm 39. So it's like, okay, how can I channel that voice and then take it on a journey, so, and then kind of split the difference from what we know Jennifer Hudson that I do or how I sing today. So it was tricky. And that's something I still sit with, like, okay, how was I supposed to approach this? Because it can be confusing, Yeah.
I think the two of y'all collided beautifully.
Thank you.
Like, to watch Jennifer work every day, it was exciting to go to work because, first of all, the woman was singing Aretha live. She wasn't like, there wasn't recordings and no. Every take. And her voice would not Like if I did it one time, my voice would be gone. 28 takes later, and they just keep getting better. And I'm just like, yo, none of us, there was times we was on set and she's singing songs, and me and Forrest would leave our character, and we felt like we was in church, like, you better sing. You better sing. She's just an amazing job she did. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was amazing, both of you.
Thank you.
Hi, Sharonda Williams from Hair Weight. You talked about the preparation and transforming into these characters, but I want to ask you, after delving into both of these people's lives, how has this changed you not only as actors and performers, but how has this changed you personally as well?
Well, for myself, I think I've always been a gentleman. I've never been an abusive man in no kind of way, but I'm learning to be a better communicator. And also to make sure, because I think that's like a key to a relationship, is trying to talk things through. And but I've also learned that finding there's a piece of greatness in everybody. And if you nurture what's great about somebody, you can actually water a huge creative beanstalk. So, and that's just in terms of, like, if I look at a damaged guy like Ted, looking at a woman like Aretha, like, okay, this plant needs this flower and it's gonna grow. He had no idea what she's gonna become. And as much of a villain as he was also part of the success. And for him, looking at him and going, you know, yeah, he's probably 95% bad, but that 5%, if we nurture that, there's something great in there, if you watered it right.
Wow. What was the question?
Sorry, just say ditto.
What was the question?
How does the character change you?
Oh goodness, yes, his answers are so good. I get so into it. It's changed me in so many ways. I literally still, you know, I'm a fan. So it's something that I want to continue to learn from and grow with. It's expanded me as a musician. It may, like, I used to listen to a song and only listen to the melody line. Now I want to know what the chords are, what key it's in. Can I play some of this? You know, so it's expanded me in that way. Having my own voice and trusting that voice, that's one of the biggest things I walked away with, you know, from it. It's so many, to me, it's so many messages in the film, and that's the beauty of a life and the reality of things, because we all go through things, but when it's someone such as Aretha Franklin and icons, like, we forget, like, there's a story under there. There is a person, which comes triumphs and setbacks and different things. You know, success is all of that. And it's inspiring in that way to say, wow, if she can still succeed and have went through all of that, then so can I, you know? So even while filming, I said, yes, we all have a respect for Aretha Franklin, but by the time you get to the end of this film, I want you to have a newfound respect, and I have that newfound respect.
Girl, don't you ever talk about my answers again. You do not.
Did I do all right?
You do not
all
take
right
me to
now.
church right there. That girl, they need to put, that's a proverb.
See, I be learning this way.
KB again. And so, you know, you just said that there are a lot of messages in this film. So for each of you, what do you really hope audiences, but specifically our community, kind of walks away knowing about their shared legacy? You know, particularly obviously Miss Franklin's, but clearly Ted had a lot of contributions in the beginnings of that as well. So what do you really hope that we walk away with as an audience about her legacy? And I'll start with you, Marlon.
That damaged people have the potential to damage people, but they also have the potential to do great things for and with each other. But you always have to be mindful of your damage. And sometimes insecurity slips in, sometimes jealousy slips in, and it brings out the worst in you. And you have to allow life to bring out the best in you. And I hope that we often look at women that are in abusive relationships. Well, let's go, why don't you just leave that dude? It's not that easy. These are people in love, and they wasn't always bad. We forget that There was something beautiful that made them fall in love. So you have to help rescue them by having empathy and sympathizing with what they're going through, and be there for them through the process, not just go, girl, you need to leave them. It's not as easy as that.
And for you, Jennifer?
That's the hard question. It's so many things. I think trusting your voice. That's the biggest thing that I feel like I treasure the most, because it's power in that, in value, and in life, no matter who you are, where you are, how far you get, there's always others trying to advocate for you. And we sometimes lose ourselves. But to know there is value in your voice, and you should trust your voice. And I feel like that's the takeaway for me, and that I have taken ownership of for myself even more. Like, no, her power, when she stepped up to the plate and allowed her treasure to come out through herself and valued it and trusted it, that's when we got our Queen of Soul. So what is within all of us when we trust ourselves? That's what it gave me.
Hello. She out here answering.
Thank you.
Hey.
You doing?
Am I doing good?
You're doing it, girl.
Thank you.
I was speechless damn near at the end of that question. That's 3 in a row. You know what? You're going to answer first. I'm going to follow you. Somebody fell asleep.
Wait a minute. Sorry, I had the mic off. Sorry. And I was giving you exit. I thought
the camera was going to come on and you just like, oh, me? Okay.
Mr. Wayans and Ms. Hudson, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Hey, thank you. Great seeing you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film critics, thank you for watching this edition of AAFCA Roundtables. And we'll see both of you, I have a feeling, next year at the AAFCA Awards. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.